I want to put a CM Pokemon name down though. Wait, hold up. Most people know that Singapore. This is a lie, by the way. Bro, this is a lie. Bro, look at me, bro. Bro, do you think I am super rich? Bro, I am a fucking gacha gamer, bro. This is straight up a lie. So you know what? Let's take a look at what we have over here.
So apparently, the richest country in Asia is this tiny little nation with a population roughly just the size of Chicago. The entire country is basically just one city, yet it is one of the richest countries on the entire planet. Its GDP per capita is on par with iconic countries like Switzerland and Qatar. So allow me to introduce my country, Singapore.
Wait, pause. I just want to say, just because we have the top 10 GDP in the world, right, it doesn't mean that everyone is a fucking millionaire, okay? Because this will take into account the billionaires in Singapore as well. It's like the income inequality gap, bro, right? So therefore, it is not... Okay, I think the best way I can put about this, I can't even believe I'm saying this as an example. Think of it in HSR terms. Alright, so you have community A that plays HSR and community B that plays HSR. Community A is Singapore. We have like 10 people with E6 S5 and 100 people with E0 S0. But that 10 people with E6 S5 is gonna have a higher GDP than the other community with 110 people having E0 S1. Does that make sense? Cost-wise, right? Cost-wise. And there it is.
Like Switzerland and Qatar. So allow me to introduce my country, Singapore. It's been a while since I started this channel.
Yo, lone
and I
autumn
figured,
leaf.
why not make a video about my own country, even though it's not strictly East Asian? As a Southeast Asian country, the fact that Singapore managed to pull itself out of poverty so quickly and become so insanely rich that its GDP per capita now significantly surpasses other Asian giants like Japan, South Korea, and China is nothing short of a miracle. Yet, despite all this, Singaporeans rarely flex about their wealth.
And
chances are you probably never met a Singaporean who drives fancy cars or goes on luxurious yacht trips.
And there it is.
And you also rarely hear Singaporeans bragging about how easy their lives are. And that's because, well, it's not easy.
And
the dark
there
reality
it is.
of living in that's actually not the direction
dark
this video is gonna
reality.
take. When it comes to Singapore topics, there are two leagues of opinions. One is the complainers. These are the people who only mention the negative sides of living in Singapore, such as the high cost of living, hot and humid temperature alternating with cold.
That's on a good day, by the way. Hold up.
Such as the high cost of living, hot and humid.
This is on a good ass fucking day, bro. Bro, I think on a normal day, it's like 32 degrees Celsius. And on a hot day, it's like 34, 35. 29 is honestly pretty decent. Alright, so and then what
alternating with cold aircon indoors, which makes for the perfect recipe for getting sick, etc. Some would even go as far as to call Singapore a scam and warn people to not come here. And the other league is the glazers. These are the people who will defend Singapore at all costs. And of course, there are people in the middle like me who think Singapore, just like any other country, has its pros and cons. So here's my 2 cents opinion. I think that Singapore is a great country, maybe even the best country in the world if you like a particular type of lifestyle, the NPC lifestyle. Now, the word NPC nowadays almost always carries negative connotations, especially in today's internet culture. It usually refers to someone who is a nobody with no independent motives and is merely serving as a background noise for the main characters.
Oh, they do call me Mr. Background Noise though.
The NPC lifestyle, I really mean it in a neutral way. Because
neutrally
in today's global environment where everything is in shambles and people are struggling to make a basic living, is being an NPC really that bad? Like, y'all like to complain that Singapore treats its citizens like employees rather than real people, but isn't that already a huge privilege? Many countries treat their citizens like slaves or cannon foders. At least being an NPC means you have safety, stability, and don't have to worry about making ends meet. So I'm gonna dive into this NPC lifestyle and I will try painting a full picture.
Having a good 9 to 5 is way easier than starting your business. I think that is probably like the NPC mindset where you just go into your 9 to 5. Technically 96 or like 97 or 98 or whatever it's gonna be. But like you don't really have to worry about anything. Or like as much as like starting your own thing. Because if it fails, then all the risk is on you. And then the moment you already have a stable income, right? Like you already have like your jobs, right? You the most difficult part about 96 is getting your foot through the front door, right? Like you can't get your first job because your first job needs 10 years of experience. And you get 10 years of experience. But like once you get past that stage and you can like steadily, like slowly like grow and grow because you have like more and more years of experience, then like it becomes a lot easier. And you don't have to worry about anything anymore. And you can just like literally live life as an NPC because you can just like do NPC tasks and get it over and done with.
First, so the pros. The best part about being an NPC is stability and safety. You don't have to worry about getting attacked or going bankrupt or facing big life failures. And in Singapore, one of the biggest promises of this country is stability. As long as you work hard and live wisely, you're almost guaranteed a stable life. Good disposable income, affordable healthcare and education, affordable housing.
Healthcare and education is hella cheap.
And the country is also extremely safe and efficient. Now, a lot of people like to complain about the high cost of living in Singapore, which is a fair point, but I actually think that compared to many other advanced economies, the cost of living in Singapore really isn't that high. First, you've got to remember that the median salary in Singapore is pretty high, almost twice as much as Japan's median salary, especially considering that Singapore has much less tax. So if you're a foreigner traveling to both Japan and Singapore, it's
huge
easy to draw the conclusion that Japan is cheaper, but hey, Singaporeans earn more. And when it comes to everyday expenses like food and transportation, I would argue that Singapore is a lot cheaper than many Western economies such as Canada, where I currently live. Eating out in Singapore nowadays, you can still easily get a full meal for just about $5 to $8 in the hawker centers, which I don't think you can get anywhere in Canada now. Just yesterday, I had this standard meal at a food court, and it cost me a whopping $17 for a food court meal. It wasn't like I was dining at a restaurant.
Crazy,
and then let's talk about
that's
the
like
most
5
important
types, okay, maybe not 5, but like 4
housing. And
types.
This is where a lot of people's frustration with Singapore comes from, because rent is undeniably expensive in Singapore, almost on par with New York and Hong Kong rent prices. As of 2025, the average price for renting a 1-bedroom apartment outside the city center is about 3,000 Singaporean dollars.
Honestly, the solution is very simple. Just buy. I'm kidding.
Let alone near the city center. And even renting out a small bedroom inside a shared flat, so like you're sharing the bathroom and kitchen with someone else, can easily cost you over 1K if you're living near the city center.
It's a joke. Holy shit.
Say, yo, Singapore is not worth it. Just go to Malaysia. However, this crazy rent situation is what the foreigners are experiencing, which does not represent the housing situation for local Singaporeans, because the majority of Singaporeans don't rent. They own a place, or more precisely, they live with their parents until they're able to own a home. Singapore has one of the highest home ownerships in the world, with more than 80% of its citizens owning and living in this government-built public housing unit.
This owning thing, right, to be completely fair, is not really owning. You are kind of renting, okay, not renting, but you're leasing a place for like usually 99 years, because it's like the BTO and the HDB stuff, right? At the end of the 99 years, the government will just take it back anyways. And the property value, it depreciates a lot once you go past like 20 to 30 years of living. So when you're left with like 69 or like 59 years left, the price will go down a lot. So but like most Singaporeans don't actually own anything. You're just leasing something for your lifetime. But generally, if you want to like pass down to your kids, they will most likely have to like lease again. Except for those like freehold, like private properties, like condos and bungalows, which like, I personally think it's not really worth it unless you are trying to start a family. Like if you're a single guy, I feel like 99 years is like
the
more
world
enough.
With more than 80% of its citizens owning and living in these government-built public housing units called the HDB flats. So these are the sort of cookie-cutter apartments you see everywhere in Singapore. And yes,
this doesn't even feel like a MrPokke stream, bro. Like I feel like a completely different person. Because, like, for the first time in a billion years, we are watching bro, this is like the Pokies play stream. Like if I have a Poke Display channel where we do like the AMZ shit, then this is the stream that we'll be watching. That's kind of crazy, bro.
With inflation, prices of these public housing have gone up and they've become much less affordable compared to pre-COVID years. But that's a problem affecting pretty much the entire world.
HP inflation for every gacha game, not just one gacha game.
Other major global cities like New York, London, Toronto, Hong Kong, Singapore's public housing units are still relatively affordable for its citizens, especially through the buying brand new build to order route. Like these prices are already looking pretty affordable even.
Okay, you can, but there is a huge restrictive condition, which I'm guessing bro is going to be talking about in the segment. Number one is have fun trying to qualify for this in the first place, even if you are like engaged or like married, because it's basically hitting like the what is that equivalent? It's like 4D tickets, lottery tickets, because it's very, very, very hard to hit it, especially the location is very good. And number two, if you're not having a family or you're not single, you cannot apply for these until 35. And then 35, you can apply for like the single scheme. So like, it will take a very long time to eventually get there, essentially.
Before the government subsidies, especially compared to where I live.
Oh, it's way harder than living on 50-50.
Definitely know what I mean. And not to mention, the median Canadian salary is lower than their Singaporean counterpart. And the reason how Singapore achieved this impressive home ownership is all thanks to our world-renowned policy, aka the home for every family policy raised by our founding father back in the 60s. He once famously said, quote, I resolved to enable every household to own its own home. If we were going to get the people to take national service seriously, I could not ask their sons to fight and die for the properties of the wealthy. Now, whether he said this out of genuine care for his citizens or just to ensure political stability for his regime is up to
There's
debate.
no way you
but
just
there's no doubt about it that it worked and people are grateful for it. In fact, people are grateful for a lot of things that the founding father did, despite his regime being technically a dictatorship. Now, there are a lot of videos on YouTube talking about how Singapore is the only successful dictatorship, and they have a point. The Singaporean government is incredibly efficient, maybe even the most efficient bureaucracy in the world, and you can see this reflect.
I have like zero knowledge and interest about Singaporean politics, so I'm like clueless, bro. I completely am clueless. So like, as long as there's no war and like I can still buy my food for like a reasonable amount of price, and I don't go homeless, I'm happy, right? So I'm
fabric of the country. The city is insanely
I'm actually
well
a Singaporean
Every inch
tourist.
of land is used to its
I'm
full
a Singaporean.
potential.
I probably know more about like world news than Singapore news. Like I keep up more of like Donald Trump than Singapore, bro. Like the Donald Trump politics, what's happening in Iran, the China, the tariffs, the deals. Like, bro, that's like way more interesting.
The highest population densities in the world, it miraculously avoids common issues that plague other densities such as overcrowding and terrible traffic jams. All thanks to its ultra-efficient city planning. The country is also incredibly safe, like safe even by Asian standards, partially due to its world-famous strict law system, where you can get severely punished for offenses considered minor elsewhere. I'm sure
Wait, this is illegal? Wait, I never ever knew this was illegal, by the way. And this is illegal? Singing in public is illegal? What the fuck? Bro, there's no way, bro. There's actually no way. I'm pretty sure this rule is more like for like buskers. Like if you were to like buskers are like street performers, right? So if you go to like a spot and you ask people for like money for your performance, but if you don't have like a license, I think that's what they are meaning to say. Because if this is true, then unfortunately, Chad, I will be seeing y'all from Changi, right?
Is considered minor elsewhere. I'm sure you've seen some of these signs on the streets. I'm sure you've also heard of the world-famous caning practice in Singapore. As a result, certain issues that you normally encounter in other countries are simply non-existent in Singapore. For example, in my entire existing memory, I've never seen or heard of anyone doing drugs, like not even a single person. So in terms of safety and stability, Singapore may just look like heaven, which begs the question, what is there to possibly complain about? And that leads to the second part of this video, the downside. To be fair, I wouldn't even call it downside because everyone is looking for something different in life. So
okay, Chad, genuine question, right? I'm a genuine question. Do you guys prefer these kind of content when there's like no background music? So it's just like audio. And there's no like piano or like jazz or like, so like it's literally just yapping. So it's like pure voice with like zero BGM. Nothing but voice. I see.
If you think that having a job and being able to afford
depends
things
on what. Depends on what.
In today's global environment, and everyone should be grateful to be an NPC, then there really is no downside to the Singaporean lifestyle. However, if you think that life is more than just existing, going to work, repeat and rinse, then the Singaporean lifestyle may not be for you, because this is not a place where you can slack off and chill. It's also not a country that gives people second chances or allows people to explore diverse life options.
Now, there's a common misconception going around that Singapore is a welfare state because it has affordable healthcare and education. But that's not really true. Singapore is not a welfare state. In fact, the founding father himself was very much against the European-style welfare system.
I feel like this is a W. Personally, I don't really subscribe to the idea of a welfare state. It is more so that not that the welfare system is bad, because like you can help people that are like underprivileged, right? And they are like they are very, very poor people in Singapore. I'm talking like poverty levels. But I think with the implementation of a welfare state system, so like you get like free pension or like unemployment and everything, right? Like I think like in America or like US and EU, you get a lot. So if you can't go to work, the government pays you. But like, Singapore don't have that, because I think fundamentally, if you have this system in place, the harm it brings could potentially outweigh the good. Like there might be some people that could really need those things because of like the circumstance, but there will also be people that will abuse the system. They were like intentionally, oh man, I don't want to like, bro, I just want to be a gacha gamer, right? I'm just not gonna get employed and be a god. I'm gonna be a NEET and stay at home all day and get unemployment for the rest of my like, because of this duality. It probably will just be better off without the welfare system. And there's also like no minimum wage in Singapore, by the way. So like if you go for a part-time job and like the job pays you like shit, you have to find a better job, essentially. So everybody
basically believed it would make people lazy.
Yep. And we have lower taxes, right? Because of a lack of a welfare state, we have lower taxes. Because if a country has more tax, if a country has a welfare system, you need more tax to supplement the welfare system, because the money doesn't come from thin air, bro, right? Like someone has to give it, which usually is in the form of tax. So without a welfare state having lower tax, I mean, I don't mind
country by design. See, when Singapore got kicked out from Malaysia, it had nothing to start off with. Literally nothing. No resources, no international backing, no financial aid. So to a large degree, this country simply couldn't afford to slack off, and everyone had to work hard to pull itself out of poverty. So I don't think it's fair to give all the credits to Lee. Yes, his policies were effective, but it was the collective efforts of ordinary citizens that ultimately led to Singapore's success. What this would entail is that there's really no room for YOLOing. Life can feel like walking on a tight rope. One small mistake and you're out. Competition starts when you're still in elementary school, because
this is so fucking relatable, bro. This is so fucking relatable. Bro, like since I was a kid, right? There's this thing called like streams. As a not streamer, but you will be placed into streams which dictates where do you go after secondary school. So there's this thing called the express stream, right? If you know, you know, right? And then there's a NA stream and an NT stream. So there are 3 streams. Most kids will go to this thing called the express stream, where you will expressly have this advantage of going into most commonly JC, if not like the better off courses in like polytechnics, right? But if you're in NT or NA, you will have a very high likelihood of either going to like mediocre courses in poly or go to this place called the ITE. And if you go to ITE, it is not really the actual end of the world, but like, okay, I shit you guys, I'm not even joking. My mom tells me this, by the way. This is what my mom told me, right? My mom told me as a kid, I was a kid, is like, if I go to ITE, it's the end, bro. She literally called it's the end. So can you imagine as a kid, you are told that since young, if you ever end up in this place, before the age of like 15, you're done. It's over. It's actually over. So like the pressure to like, since young, you have this like super fucking competitive like education background. It's very, very real.
Preschool you go
Yep.
to determines the kind of middle school
Yep.
you'll go.
Don't be
and
mid.
the type of
Don't be
middle
mid.
school you
Yep.
go to determines
If you're not
the
tier
caliber of
0,
high
you're
school
actually
you will
fucking
end
done.
up
Why
in.
do you
And
think
so
your streamer only plays meta, bro? Why do I give a fuck so much about endgame content in MOC, right? We only care about them tier 0s. If you're the moment you go to tier 0.5, go fuck yourself. Nobody cares about you
and
anymore.
so forth. And if you ask, when is the end? When are we finally gonna make it? Well, there is no end. It's exactly like the NPCs. You simply transition from one task to another task and keep going for as long as the game needs
Yep,
you. With
it's a
university
very
being the first
stereotypical
milestone.
Asian
Speaking of
parenting.
universities,
The tiger
did
mom
you know
parenting.
that Singaporean universities are the highest rated?
Whoa! That's your streamer's university, guys. And there it is.
Universities in Asia.
Yeah, I went to a
And do
tier
you know
0
why?
university.
It's because these universities are
Whoa,
meticulously designed
crazy.
to cater to the rating system. Just like how many things in this country are meticulously designed to cater to some form of external evaluation.
Yep, I went to the
metrics.
best university in Singapore just to end up being a gacha streamer.
Speaking of the NPC vibe. And once you're out of schools and you enter the workforce, you're not given much room to breathe either. To be fair, the work-life balance in Singapore is definitely not as bad as its East Asian neighbors like Japan, China, South Korea. But I cannot exactly say it's much better. Compared to most Western countries, Singapore's working culture is still pretty intense and competitive. And you gotta remember that local Singaporeans often have to compete.
Fun fact, you know this video right here? Fun fact. This was the first ever video on YouTube. And then it got viral. The first ever clip. Where they document a guy's like specialist computer. I just thought it was pretty interesting.
Global talents in the workforce. As
Alumni
Singapore
sharing, bro, I'm
is,
never going back, bro.
well known for being this premier global hub.
I don't want people
for
to know like
international
how
businesses. So
my
you're not
life is like. I don't
competing
do
with
private.
some average Joes from Kentucky. Instead, you're competing with the
Zam.
best.
The
and the
original
brightest ones.
Zam.
Okay, now some of you may say, but
The
I am
original
ambitious and I don't mind the grind. Will Singapore work for me? Now, this is where things get tricky. If you are really ambitious, like you want to become the next big name in tech, the next Steve Jobs, and you want to start your own startup, Singapore is actually not the ideal place for that. Despite how modern and sharp the skyscrapers may look, Singapore is actually not that entrepreneurial. Most people have no intentions of starting their own business or starting anything on their own in general,
very
largely due to the risk-adverse mentality that most people grow up with and this deeply ingrained fear of making mistakes. Now, Asian Boss made a really good video on this topic and I highly recommend that you check it out. So if you are entrepreneurial, I think you have a much better chance in places like the US. As a result, Singaporeans can find themselves squeezed in this really awkward position.
Okay, I do have one perspective, right? If you want to be an entrepreneur in Singapore, I think it would be just way better off if you do it in like Bangkok or like Indonesia or like other neighboring countries. It's not so much that I mean, it is like people are like more risk averse because you already have such a strict education system and you don't want to like risk your career, and like if you fail, like you have to explain to your boss like why do you have like a 3-year gap, because it's just like the cost of starting business here is so fucking expensive, bro. Everything is so fucking expensive. Like you want to get manpower, like because you already know Singaporeans here are like paid way more, right? Like the median salary is higher, so like to even hire people to do your job, and the raw cost of materials, it is just way more, especially if you want to scale your operations like internationally. So why not just go in a country? Okay, assuming you can understand the language, you can start your business there and then scale easier. It's like if you want to start a team in Singapore, you are literally playing Nemo Slop, right? You have to commit 8 cores right now, easy as 1 times 4. But in other countries like in the nearby, you could probably get off like 4 cores or like maybe 5 cores. Then in Singapore, if you want to slowly scale, maybe once you actually made it, you could transition into 12 cores or 16 cores in full E2 S1. Then you'll have a much better performance, but there's no guarantee that you can scale 8 cores to 16 cores, right? Whereas for like, you know, if you go to like Bangkok, you can start with a team in 4 cores, then you can slowly see if you have more cores to add on to the eventual 8 cores, 12 cores, and then 16 cores, right? So that is going to be my
entrepreneurial. I think you have a much better chance in places like the US. As a result, Singaporeans can find themselves squeezed in this really awkward position whereby they're not really able to relax and chill like the Europeans could. Yet they're also not really able to innovate and and think outside of the box like Silicon Valley could. And to add on to this topic, this overall lack of career options and the fear to lose mentality have given Singapore the reputation of being this boring and monotone place. Everyone lives in the same cookie-cutter apartments, eat similar food in similar hawker centers, go to work in similar skyscrapers. There's also not a lot of diversity across different regions, and even the temperature. There's also
this entire map of Singapore. You can go from here to here within like 2 hours. That's how small this fucking place is, bro. So no cap, right? I'm pretty sure if y'all like see me around in real life, you can probably guess where I stay. Because Singapore is that small. Do you guys remember there was a nice guy? The what was the guy's name? His name was with K, right? Cookie? Yeah, Cookie. Bro, I genuinely believe that he knows where I stay. Because there's only that many buildings, that many condos, that many parks in Singapore. So if he says he knows, I fully am confident that he knows where I stay. So yeah, this place is fucking small.
Not a lot of diversity across different regions, and even the temperature is exactly the same every single day. To aliens, this must look like the most NPC-ish country on Earth. And on a personal note, it wasn't until I moved and lived abroad that I realized that life can be more than that. And it was absolutely eye-opening. Like here in Canada, I've met people who just dropped out of high school and decided to become underground musicians, or people who took not just one gap year, but 2 gap years to figure out what they want in life.
Holland V is for like the whales, bro.
Okay. These are options
Holland
that are
V is like
completely
E2S1
unthinkable to the average Singaporean.
Bro, mine is like
the
E0.
unique geography
E0
of this country further adds on to
Actually,
this
Holland V is more
monotone
like
lifestyle. See, in most countries, if you've had enough of the cities and the grind and you want to take a break, you can always retreat to a smaller city or the countryside. But in Singapore, there is nowhere to retreat to. There is no nature, and the entire country is just this one city. Behind the
no cap. I think Yishun is like Florida. It's like Singapore's Florida. Or like what is like a better example? I guess it's like Singapore's Florida. That is only
there are only more tall buildings. So from a pure physical point of view, it could feel suffocating at times.
Bro, this video is honestly very, very interesting.
Whether the Singaporean lifestyle is good or bad. It's simply whether it's the kind of life that suits you. And that concludes this video.
That is a very holy Mr. Shizuno Takakamo. Thank you so much for the tree gift. Yes, I did in fact guess Hong Kong. Thank you so much. Very, very nice video. For a breath of fresh air from our gacha content, I just want to say your streamer's perspective on Singapore is actually like super unrepresentative of like what it's like to be in Singapore. Because like I already took the biggest risk I've ever taken, which is to quit my full-time corporate job from like finance to be a streamer. And like I think like there are barely like 10 people in the entire Singapore that probably did what I did. So my perception with like the whole Singaporean lifestyle and everything, it is like very, very different. It's so fucking different, bro. So if I were to compare myself, right, I feel more like Singapore is the place where I stay in, but I'm also kind of a tourist because I'm not very involved with like the local culture. I'm completely fucking clueless about the politics. And I am more interested on like online world news and happenings and goddamn gacha games than anywhere else. So if I were to move my life to like US or UK or Japan or China or whatever else it's going to be, I don't think my life is even going to change. Because it will just be like, I wake up, I look at some emails, right? Some backlogs, make some scripts. I go to the gym. I come back, I stream. I meet Fei Xiao. And I repeat it like every day. So your streamer is a very simple guy with a simple life. So not a lot of like relatability, but it's not to say that I'm ultra rich, because I'm not, by the way. It's not I'm not relatable. It's like I'm not relatable because like the experiences that most people face here is something that I don't really do. Because I don't ever wake up at like 7 a.m. to go to the job anymore. I mean, I used to, right? But I quit that shit. I don't squeeze into the MRT to go to work anymore because I basically work from home 24/7. 100%. And if I don't want to stream, I don't want to stream. And if I stream, but I always stream because I love to chat. So let me know what you guys think of this very, very interesting video. This is definitely not the richest country. Okay, like even if this is the richest country, it doesn't represent everyone living in Singapore. the median salary part, for example, like this place, where is the part? Okay, like this median salary, right? It does not include people from age demographics. So if you're a fresh graduate in Singapore, I think like fresh uni graduate, you're probably at best getting 60k SGD. And that is like pushing it. Basically 5k SGD a month, right? At best, median. Then maybe if you go older, like you're like 30s and 40s, then this will go up. But people my age, because like as much as y'all think I'm an unk, I only graduated from my uni like 2 years ago. No, wait. 2.5 years ago, right? I graduated 2023. So it's like 2.5 years. Almost 3 years, right? So I'm not that old to the point where I'm like, oh my God, bruh. Oh my God, my generation is like people around my age are still under that fresh graduate earning potential. And this is definitely way higher than the average of the undergraduates here. So yeah, but of course this is like only if you go to uni though. So I'm not sure what the median salary is like if you don't go to like uni, right? If you just finish poly or you finish IT or you didn't do anything else, or like you do your own business, it'll be like way more different. So bada boom, bada bang, and I'll see you guys on the Clips channel. Thank you. 69k US. Yeah, this is super fucking high, bro. I'm not sure where this number is from, but this is super fucking high. Because this is almost okay, not 100, but like what, 90k SGD a year? Bro, this is fucking high. Which means that 88 divided by 12 is like what? More than 8k a month, right? Okay, 7.3k a month. I don't think average Singaporeans earn that amount. Like, even if you're a working adult, like in your 30s, I think 7k a month for a Singaporean, like an average Singaporean, is considered like pretty good living. If you earn more than 10k a month, Singaporean dollars, you are like probably top 20%. I think. I feel. Maybe top 15%. Like, okay, if you earn 10k a month or more, you are tier 0. That is my personal benchmark. And then if you are like 20k a month or more, you are like global passive status, right? If I have like a tier list ranking for like individual salaries based on Singapore's cost of living. So yeah. You have coomed your last coom, my man.